Welcome to Snippets of Wisdom with your host, Dr. Mike Corral and Dr. Michael J. Murphy. Snippets of Wisdom is the boomer's gift to the next generation and to the world at large. Dr. Michael J. Murphy and Coach Dr. Mike Corral are experienced psychotherapists, writers, and healers who find the greatest satisfaction in sharing the benefits of a lifetime of struggle and learning. Coach Mike has spent decades spreading deep wisdom and supporting youth through the juvenile justice system. Dr. Michael has directed mental health services at many correctional centers and testified in countless trials as an expert in sex-related issues and mental illness. And he was one of the 500,000 humans at Woodstock. So now, please welcome the hosts of Snippets of Wisdom.
And welcome to Snippets of Wisdom. I am Coach Mike Corral. With me is Dr. Michael Murphy. We're your hosts here at Snippets of Wisdom. We have an exciting show for you today. It has something to do with what everybody is concerned about. At least I hope everybody's concerned about this. But we're going to be talking about coherence and empowerment today. Dr. Murphy discovered something that has been around for a little while. And it has to do with a man named Dr. Mikio. I think his name is kind of a version of Michael. Mikio Kushi, who has discovered quantum physics in a way that empowers us, in a way that allows us to be our best self. Dr. Murphy, can you tell us a little bit more about Dr. Kushi's work and what he's teaching us?
So this real, yes, thank you for that great introduction. It really is, one of the things that we're going back to the real foundations of understanding, like how this universe exists, what it is, and how we can interact with it in a way that allows us to manifest ourselves in the most powerful and productive way possible. And that's what we're focusing on today. And we're going to be doing a special presentation at the end of this for everybody who stays to the end that will really offer a live training process in how to utilize these concepts that we're going to be talking about today. Years and years ago, I majored in philosophy in college and just really loved this process of exploring the nature of the universe, like what is going on here? The fundamental questions for Eastern thinkers and Western thinkers alike is like, who am I? What am I? And what does this universe really mean? And what can we do, with our lives to really actualize ourselves as much as possible? And so those are the issues that we're going to be looking at today. And one of the most recent things that have been discovered is quantum physics, and many people have heard about that, and we're seeing many of the implications of that now with the advent of AI and lots of deeper understandings of the fundamental structure of the universe and what that means for us and how we can interact with it in a way that is most productive. So this guy, Dr. Michio Kushi, is a person from Japan who is a learned scientist who looked at the implications of quantum understanding with regard to us. And what it really means is that we are, as the quantum physicists have said, we are vibratory beings. Nikola Tesla, the scientist who many will have heard of here in America, said if you want to understand the universe, you need to think about the universe in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So everything is captured by those three manifestations: energy, frequency, and vibration. And we'll be talking about how we can influence and employ those manifestations in the course of this presentation. And that's what he did. He talked about this. That is Dr. Michio Kushi, as to what it really means. So we're going to be dealing with that today in great depth.
I noticed in his work he talks about coherence, and how it contributes to empowerment. And for those who are not aware of how he's using coherence in this context, um, we've all been familiarized ourselves with the idea of integrating ourselves, body, mind, and spirit. Being integrated physically, mentally, spiritually, and the coherence comes into the picture as a way of keeping it all together. Cohering means like sticking together. So, Dr. Kushi talked about some of the things that we need to begin to practice and begin to invest ourselves in, so that we can actually optimize our lifetime opportunities and optimize our human power, as it were. Uh, isn't that what you were referring to, Dr. Murphy?
Right. Really, one of the things that we can really experience now uh, with the aid of electronics, and we're going to be, doing a little thing with this little thing here, which is many of you have seen, it's a pulse oximeter that you put your finger in, for
Oh
the
yeah,
purpose of understanding how well you process oxygen. And this little thing is something we're gonna play with later on in the terms of trying to help people to understand and ourselves understand how to best organize our energy. And we can use tools like that.
yeah,
So the concept of coherence and synchronicity are terms that describe the orderliness or the organization of our very being and how we can affect that. And one of the ways that that happens is with this practice called biofeedback. So the more we're aware of the manifestations of our biological processes, the more that we can be able to influence them to our own benefit and to the benefit of others. So if you, many people practice meditation these days. So meditation, in fact, is simply another very deep and profound way of organizing our energy in a way that we feel will be more coherent. Maybe one is called, the sacred square. You inhale to a count of four. You hold for a count of four. You exhale for a count of four. And then you inhale again to a count of four. And you do that square for X amount of time, and you'll find that your heart rate changes and becomes more regular as you do that over the course of 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And so your pulse and your oxygen utilization and your cardiac coherence becomes more regular, which is good for us. And it's good for our mental processes as well. And that is integrated into the process of meditation.
yeah,
And this whole concept that we call actualization, the law of actualization, the law of manifestation.
yeah,
Uh, we have recently come to understand that the more coherently we meditate upon certain outcomes, the more likely they actually are to occur.
yeah,
So, that really is a very special insight. Examples are that, groups of meditators who have gathered around something like a correctional institution or a psychiatric hospital, and they all meditate together on certain concepts, they actually will find that their vibratory power will positively influence the events within that institution.
right,
They've also found that meditators can influence and reduce the contamination, the negative contamination of, say, a lake or a pond by all gathering around it and meditating on it. So we're discovering with these quantum forms of understanding that we have a lot more influence over the world and our experience than we have thought about in the past. And we just believed that all this was externally determined and we had
exactly.
no influence over it all.
And we do. The big part of it is that we have to decide that we want to use our influence. We all have it. But for some of us, it's dormant simply because we ignore it or we don't pay attention to it, and we don't realize how powerful we can actually be. Um, Dr. Kushi talked about having a protocol, like you talk about having a morning practice, um, that will initiate, that will allow us to become the masters of our own destiny, so to speak, and allow us to be a part of all of the possibility that is out there. So I don't know, for lack of a better way of describing it, uh, it's almost as if there are infinite possibilities that pre-exist, that exist already. And for us, it's a matter of deciding which possibilities we want to welcome into our life, into our world. Um, if we don't do that, it's kind of like we're just getting leftovers, whatever else exists. So if we don't choose for ourselves, it'll be chosen by the universe for us. And I, for one, am a person who would rather choose what happens to me than let somebody else choose. And so he talks about a morning protocol, which is very intriguing to me. And you described something that you do in the morning. Um, can you briefly tell us what that's like uh, for you and how it works?
Right. So I think that's such a deep and profound insight. Uh, that is that we have the option of choosing whether we want to influence and determine our reality to some extent, or if we want to be so-called victims where things just happen to us, and we have that sense of helplessness that we're not in charge of, at least to a significant extent, in charge of the outcomes in our daily life and over the course of our lifetime. So making a decision that we are going to choose to do everything we can to influence our lives in a positive direction that we believe is best for ourselves and others is that starting point. So starting one of the ways of starting with that is creating a morning practice. So making a decision that every day when you get up in the morning, the first thing you're going to do as soon as your feet hit the floor is that you're going to engage in a series of actions that you believe will set the tone for your day and set the tone for your life.
And
So that's, yeah,
Kushi says
go ahead.
before you even open your eyes in the morning,
Right,
before you think your first thought in the morning, to do this, right?
right.
So that's intriguing to me because when we're waking up in the morning, we're arising out of a theta state. That's the dream state, that where growth happens, where inspiration happens, where renewal happens, and it only lasts. We think we've been dreaming all night, but we've only been dreaming like a few minutes just before we wake up. But that theta state, we're coming out of that theta state into and before introducing yourself to the alpha uh, brain waves that are going to occur eventually, um, we want to be able to transition, right? And
Mhm.
so when we come back, we're going to talk more about this, and I want to hear your protocol, Dr. Murphy, and then I'll tell you what my protocol is in the morning, and then we'll compare it to Dr. Kushi's, okay, if that
Right.
works.
So we're going to share the secrets.
Yeah,
And so like and subscribe and enjoy these secrets that are going to be shared
that's
when we
right.
come back.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorick has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Okay, welcome back. We're talking about morning protocols, daily protocols, as a matter of fact. It's important at the beginning of each day, before you even get out of bed, as you get out of bed, to have your mind focused on what you want for the day. And Dr. Murphy has a practice that he does, and he's going to explain a little bit about why he has the practice and then what his practice looks like. Dr. Murphy?
Sure. Even before that, maybe we can just spend a minute on the process of meditation itself and why it's healthy and what it is about it that actually
Sure.
happens when we engage in the process of meditation. When we are, we're human beings, we have this body, uh, we have this thing on top of our shoulders, which is called our head. We have these extremities, which are called legs and arms. And so, really, it's very interesting to see how um, the biophysiology of this whole process changes as we change. So, if we do meditation, what happens literally is that our blood flow becomes more widely differentiated throughout our extremities. So, from our heart, if you meditate on the beating of your heart, say, or just doing the sacred square breathing that I was talking earlier, counting, breathing in for 4 breaths, holding for 4 breaths, exhaling for 4 breaths, and then, oh, 4 counts rather, and then so what happens is that if you do that over a period of time, you will find that your peripheral skin temperature becomes warmer. You know, we're naturally sort of 98.6. Then if we meditate, we'll go up to 90, 98.7, 98.8, and you'll see it go up. Then if you get to the 99 temperature of your extremities, you'll find that you're in an extremely relaxed, calm state. And so that is the process that we're able to do. We're able to actually change the temperature that we experience in our extremities, in the brain, in the hands and feet. And the key about that is that uh, when we become anxious or nervous on the other side of it, that's when our extremities become more cold. So they say cold hands, warm heart, because when we're in danger, when we believe we're in danger, the blood flow goes to the central circulatory system, including the heart, for large muscle activity. So we need to run, we need to yell, we need to fight, whatever that is. The blood flows to the central circulatory system. So that's why when we're nervous and anxious, our hands are cold. Our brain is cold. So the circulation of the blood to the brain is less efficient. So those fundamental concepts about the actual physiological effects of meditation are very important to understand, because above all, we want to be calm. We want to have our hands be warm, our brain have access to blood flow. our extremities have access to blood flow. So the calmer we are, the more that happens. So the morning ritual, when we get up in the morning and do something, it needs to include meditation. So sitting down, doing um, some simple meditation, focusing on a mantra or just focusing on your breath. Then also after that, including some form of movement. I do some yoga postures, simple yogic stretching, raising your knees, you extending your arms, doing some few minutes of yoga practice, and then returning to a sitting position for some breath work. So if you go online, you can find many forms of breath work that are extremely helpful. And this little instrument that I showed you earlier, called the pulse oximeter, it actually measures the efficiency of your breath to bring oxygen into your
Ah,
bloodstream. That's what this does. And that's
awesome.
why it should be, when we were into the COVID thing, you would go to the doctor and they would immediately put this on your finger to see how you were processing oxygen. And
Oh,
if you're not processing oxygen adequately, if the score is not up to 95 or so,
yeah,
then you probably have a problem. And
yeah,
so, one of the symptoms of the COVID disorder was an inefficiency in processing oxygen. So
absolutely.
that's one of the things. So when you do that and you start to breathe that way, then you'll find that that score rises. So that's a form of meditation, just increasing the efficiency of processing oxygen in your brain and in your body. So when you include those three things, breath work, meditation, and yoga, then those are components of a morning practice that each of us needs to make for ourselves. Like how do you
So,
come up with the pieces? And we're going to offer some more demonstrations in the course of this
right,
presentation.
we'll do a little bit of demonstration at the end, how as far as how to visualize the process that we think is very, very important that Dr. Kushi talks about. Um, Now, remember, we're talking about coherence here. We're talking about keeping it all together, keeping our body, our heart, our mind, our soul, our spirit um, together in a way that allows us to participate in what's happening at quantum levels, participate in with the universe, so to speak. We talked about a little bit about the endless opportunities there are, endless possibilities that exist um, at all times. Our future is determined by our decisions. And so when you really think about it, it makes no sense to worry about the future when we're the ones who are planning it. The problem comes when people don't plan. So nobody plans to fail, but people do fail to plan. And when you fail to plan by default, the the default plan is to fail. So rather than do that, and rather than focus on as something on a negative skill, we want to decide with precision what we want for ourselves, what we want for each other, and it all begins with uh, our own coherence and our own empowerment, so to speak. Do you agree, Dr. Murphy?
Oh, certainly. One of the things that we have realized more and more, I think, in these times, is that each of us generates what some people call an auric field. Like all of us, when we breathe, we are warm-blooded creatures. We literally radiate warmth, and we radiate energy. And so, what we want to do is to be able to influence how effectively and how efficiently we radiate that energy, because everybody who comes into our presence and whose presence we share is going to be affected by
Yeah.
uh, uh, our radiant energy field, which
I,
extends, many people say, about 15 feet
Yes,
outside.
I'm just going to say
Well,
that.
as
Not to
we
be,
walk around the world, we bring this 15-foot radiant,
and
energy
I,
field around us that
yeah,
actually affects other people and
right.
interacts with their field. So we're constantly having effect on other people, on all forms of life around us. And so, starting to actually take responsibility for that through meditation, through exercise, through healthcare is just a tremendous opportunity. And when all of us do that, if all of us do that in this world, if we all do it in some kind of synchronous way, then the power of that is just tremendous. Like we were saying before, we really can affect external events to a significant extent if we uh, do choose to share that power to generate um, positive energy in a way that is kind of has that multiplier effect when we all meditate together.
Dr. Kushi talks about not just a morning um, coherence protocol to begin our day, but also an energy scan throughout the day. Um, and what he suggests is that we pause and take notice of our emotional state by noticing our bodily sensation, our somatic awareness, increasing our somatic awareness so that we can actually uh, make the changes by changing our thoughts and how our thoughts contribute to our feelings, our emotions. When we do that, we actually invite healing to take place at a perpetual level. So as we go through our day, just taking a minute to ask yourself, how do I feel right now? And there are flags throughout the day that are little indicators, if you will, that will say this is a good time for us to check in with our body and say, how do I feel? Why do I feel this way? If it's a good feeling, maybe I need to do more of this. If it's not a good feeling, what should I be thinking right now that would allow me to have a better feeling? Or what can I do? What action can I take? What behaviors can I install that will allow me to have that good contagious feeling? Uh, so when it does happen, I know for some of us, we'll start the day, maybe trip on something, stub our toe, and then tell ourselves, "Oh, I'm going to have one of those days again." And actually, that's what you do not want to do. What you really want to do is say, okay, what can I learn from that? What did I learn from that? I put my shoes in the wrong place. Or, you know, gather something that actually benefits you from every experience like that and begin to take charge again of the rest of your day. Put yourself in charge when those things happen. In other words, interrupt a pattern of negativity and replace it with a good thought, a challenging, even if it's a challenging experience that you have to go through that doesn't just disappear. How can I benefit from this challenge? It's kind of like a workout. A workout is a challenge with some benefits, right,
Right.
Doctor?
Just to give an example of that, something I did in the past in my practice as a forensic psychologist is to do a lot of court testimony. So when you're doing court testimony, you're going to testify as an expert witness on the stand, and you'll be subject to direct and cross-examination. It's a very kind of theatrical experience. You're like an actor going on stage. And so, I really found it to be uh, somewhat anxiety inducing, particularly in the beginning. And all of us do face these kinds of challenges. And we're going to talk about uh, some of the ways to deal with that I would do as I knew I was going to be sitting in that chair being cross-examined. Within a few minutes, I would do some meditation, the pattern interrupt process whenever one faces these perspective challenges. It's a great opportunity to use these skills.
When we come back, we're going to talk some more about pattern interrupt, of future self installation, and of some other good things. We're also going to do a demonstration at the very end, so don't go away. Stay with us.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom, purpose, passion, power, and peace. All quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words, Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Okay, welcome back. We were talking about the pattern interrupt, breath, stopping and taking a breath when we feel ourselves going into a negative pattern. Why is that important, Dr. Murphy?
When we're facing a challenge, we really want to prepare ourselves to do our best. And I found that's just really a simple, obvious sort of insight that many of us ignore uh, lots of times in our lives when we're facing, whether it's a meeting at work or going to have a conversation at home with your significant other, or whether you're facing an exam in school, or whether you're going off to to face some kind of challenge in your life.
Yeah.
You know, if we understand that we need to prepare ourselves for that challenge so that we can perform at the very highest level of which we're capable, that's going to really contribute to the increased probability of a positive outcome.
Breath,
So,
breath
yeah.
work is key for doing that, for interrupting the the negativity and the pressure, the conflict. To interrupt that, it's important to learn how to breathe in, in different situations. And there's different ways of breathing for different situations. Um, right, Dr. Murphy?
Oh, yeah. So the big thing I think is important is, breathing has become, much more of a focus for people in recent times. We used to take it for granted. I mean, who thinks about their breathing? But we really do need to give it some thought. And the key is to begin with the foundation, and that is abdominal breathing. So breathing down into the abdomen when you actually breathe way down into your belly, your lower belly, and then your middle chest, and then your upper chest. That's called the complete breath, and that accesses all of the different energy channels in our system. So just understanding that it's very easy to lose track of that, and we become subconsciously anxious. We start to breathe with our upper chest, and when we do that exclusively, then we start to induce a state of anxiety in ourselves,
Yeah.
because that's how we breathe when we're frightened. So learning how to breathe abdominally, to make that a habit, is really, one of the critical aspects of maintaining a calm state, and therefore preparing oneself
Yeah.
for a good outcome in any situation that we face.
So there's different kinds of breathing for different kinds of situation. You mentioned the complete breath, which actually really feels good when you do it.
Yes.
Um, there's another breath that I do in the morning after I've had my morning beverage, um, and it's quick breaths through the nose to increase the nitric oxide to the brain for 30 seconds. And what I do is what I focus on a spot on the wall. When you're looking up, it's almost impossible to think a negative thought. By the way, so if you're looking straight up and focused on something, and you breathe through the nose, in and out through the nose for 30 seconds, like this, you want to make sure you blow your nose before you do the exercise, of course, but to get that nitric oxide to the brain, it kind of clarifies everything and prepares you for the day. I do 3 sets of those, 30 seconds each, uh, with a stretch, and then all the way down, allowing your face to just hang down. But with between the stretching up and stretching down, an attitude of gratitude um, through each one of those sets. What it does, it opens up your mind, and it allows you to think of possibilities, think about the positive possibilities. Another form of breath, if somebody is in a panic mode and they're like a baby having a tantrum, are two inhales through the mouth. I learned this one from uh, Dr. Andrew Huberman. What you do is you breathe twice through the mouth, like, and then out, and then out. And if you notice, when a baby is just finished having a tantrum, that's kind of the natural pattern their body follows. After a baby's been crying and crying and crying, they'll do this. And it just kind of calms the whole body down. So if you ever find yourself in a tizzy, you find yourself in a situation where you can't relax, you can try either one of those breaths, the full complete breath. If you want to breathe on purpose, the nasal nitric oxide breath, or the after panic breath through the mouth. Those are just a couple of pattern interrupt breaths that we can just talk about. We also have some other parts of important parts of protocols for the day. Uh, One of them is future self installation, and that is a deep practice that involves uh, keeping yourself together, but you want to be able to imagine yourself in the future and get as much detail about what you want it to be for you in the future. In my coaching practice, Dr. Murphy, one thing I do is for people that are kind of midway and they kind of reach an impact, a plateau. I ask them to write their obituary. When you put it in terms of what do you want people to say about you, what do you want to have accomplished, what do you want to leave behind as a memory or as a legacy for people, you're in charge of it and you're alive right now. Let's do it right now. What that does is just kind of restructures everything.
Hmm.
uh, what are your thoughts on that, Dr. Murphy?
That's a great insight, I think, just because it clarifies our obligation to make a choice about our purpose in life and what we want to have accomplished over the course of our lifetime. And I think that's the clarity. So if we feel like we're on the right path in terms of what we want to accomplish in our life, and we're making some progress with regard to that each day of our lives, we're doing things that are meaningful, whether it's caring for our family, our community, using our skills in ways that we feel improves the world in some way or improves the lives of other people, as well as it improves our our capacity to really experience all that we want to experience in this lifetime is really, really a critical thing. And that involves a choice, as you say. You have to make a decision to be aware of what's going on and to structuralize, the choices that we make about our purpose in life. What I wanted to do in just a second, another piece of breath work, is alternate nostril breathing. So something that is true is, if we are calm, then we should be breathing through our nose. When we're sleeping, we should be breathing through our nose. So one of the ways to work on that is what's called alternate nostril breathing. You sort of make your hand like this, where you have your two outermost fingers be extended, where the inner ones are folded over and your thumb is extended, and you put that in front of your face and you close one nostril. I'm going to take off my glasses here. You close one nostril, and so you're inhaling through the other nostril. Breathe all the way in, maybe to a count of 5 or 6. Then you switch and you put the other fingers against the other nostril and exhale. Then you breathe in through that nostril, put your thumb against that nostril, exhale, breathe in through the other nostril, switch the fingers, exhale through the other nostril. And you go back and forth like that 7 or 8 times, just doing what's called alternate nostril breathing. You'll find examples of it on YouTube if you want to go online and just Google alternate nostril breathing. And it really is good for us in terms of balancing the hemispheres of the brain. So
Oh,
we understand that the hemispheres of the brain are different. One is generally more oriented around um, kind of cognitive, high level, uh, abstract thought, and one is more oriented around emotional, kind of
creative side.
kinesthetic, creative stuff. So really, we need to make sure that oxygen gets to both of those hemispheres
Oh, that's
really
good.
robustly. So yeah,
So I heard that nitric oxide is only produced in the nostrils. It's not produced if we breathe through the mouth. If we're mouth breathers, is
right.
that
So one of the things that they pointed out is that using mouthwash really can negatively affect the microbes at the back of our throat. So we really need to. I mean, it's not a good idea to use mouthwash in terms of really preserving a very robust um, set of microbes in the back of our throat so that we have more efficient capacity to generate nitrous oxide.
awesome? Wow, this is a power packed show today. We're learning a lot.
Lots
One
of
of
details. Yes. Yeah.
So we have a couple of more things before we take our break and then do our demonstration that I think are very important for all of us. Before we go to bed at night, we need to rewire our attitude so that we have an attitude of gratitude as we hit the bed. And for some people, I hate to say this, but I've asked I'll do a workshop and I'll say, name 5 things that you're grateful for. And some people will pause and they're trying to think of 5 things that they're grateful for. So what I end up doing, I give everybody an assignment. I want everybody to write 100 things you're grateful for, your gratitude list, and keep it with you at all times, and reread it, and alter it, and change it. If you struggle to think about something you're grateful for, um, that's a red flag. I would say that's a red flag. So before you go to bed, express your gratitude, even if it's just to yourself, even in your own heart and your own mind. You know, um, and it's not a bad idea throughout the day to create that pattern of expression of gratitude. I'm really glad that we have sun today. I'm really glad the birds are back, and things like that. You'd be surprised at how that contributes to the mechanism of manifestation, which is another thing that Kushi talked about. Um, he talks about how to manifest and be responsible with the things that we manifest, because manifesting things is the product of empowerment. And empowerment is not a luxury, it's a responsibility, because everybody is affected by the power that we have. And when we come back, we'll do some demonstrations for you. So don't go away. This is going to be a fun part for all of us. Stay with us.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Master of words, powerful player. What life-changing words can Dr. Janet Smith Warfield pull out of her magical toolbox that just might mysteriously open a door you never knew was there? A door to free yourself from fear forever. Transform your rage into right action. Release your guilt. Position you into a life of freedom, purpose, passion, power, and peace. All quite suddenly, unexpectedly, and almost miraculously, with no effort on your part. Join Dr. Janet on Dancing with Words, Dancing with Wisdom, as she and her guests show you how words map our experiences, immersing you in a sound bath that relaxes your muscles, opens your mind, and supports you in co-creating your extraordinary life.
And welcome back. So if you are enjoying what you're hearing, be sure to like and subscribe, comment on the bottom. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your feelings about what we're talking about today, and hit that subscribe button. Dr. Murphy has some very, very effective affirmations for us that he wants to share. And these are things worth remembering. So grab a pen if you can, or turn your phone on record and listen to some of these affirmations, Dr. Murphy.
Yeah, so one of the things that that is Mike and Mike here, are really trying to do is to see what we can contribute to this new insight about the quantum coherence of the world. I mean, so many things are going on now with the changes that are happening in technology, changes are happening with regard to conflict in our world. We, each of us needs to do what we can in order to seek to guide those processes in a positive direction, so that we can do that. And one of the things that we really can do is to be aware that when we go to sleep at night, our unconscious mind and our dreams and in our night awareness is just sort of needs to be set up, and sort of we can sort of set the table for having a form of awareness as we sleep that itself is constructive both to ourselves and healthy for ourselves and healthy for the world at large. And one of the ways of doing that is to use a set of affirmations. So I just happened to come across this list of words which we can focus on, and then hopefully roll over and go to sleep pretty quickly. But so the nightly affirmations are these 6 words, and we focus on each of these in terms of trying to feel the feeling that goes along with the word. So the words are love, faith, forgiveness, gratitude, peace, and oneness. So if you visualize and feel the meaning of each of those terms, you really can understand that we're kind of talking about a perfect world that is characterized by all of those positive senses and emotions, and really emotional systems, if you will, forms of generating energy that are good for us and good for the world. And so doing that, we're kind of laying the foundation to be of value to ourselves and of value to all of our others.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. The power behind each of those words, the meaning of each of those words carries tremendous power. And we're not even aware of how they resonate uh, beyond us. There's another scientist that did uh, experiments on the power of words. We'll talk about that on another show, but it's very, very meaningful to incorporate those in our affirmations. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. So right now, what I'd like for each of you to do, if you're watching this on a chair or on a couch, take a comfortable position, because I'm going to guide you into a position that is conducive to breathing in the morning before you even step out of bed. So what I'd like for you to do is just go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, allow your eyelids to close. And feel the relaxation in your eyelids. And allow that relaxation to spread from the top of your forehead to your face, down to your neck, shoulders, all of your body. Feel your entire body relax. Now I'd want you to bring your attention to your heart center, and that's literally right in the middle of your chest. Just place your awareness there and begin breathing slowly. 5 seconds. Inhale through the mouth, through the nose, and hold it a second before you exhale through the mouth. Don't force it, just let it be smooth and natural. If you do this for about 2 minutes, you're going to feel your heart rhythm soften and begin to feel it cohering, coming together. There's a subtle shift. It's almost like a softening in your chest. And once you feel that, you're going to add a specific visualization on your inhale. Imagine energy. Imagine energy being drawn up from the base of your spine, all the way up your back to the crown of your head. On the exhale, you imagine the energy flowing down the front of your body, from your crown down to your face, your chest, all the way back down to the base, to your root chakra. What you're doing is you're cycling energy through the microcosmic orbit, and you're creating an orbit. It's a circle. And you're doing it in coordination with your breath. Up the back in the inhale and down the front on the exhale. Take a deep breath. Slowly open your eyes and exhale. That's kind of an idea of what it'll feel like in your bed. You can practice this as often as you want during the day, so that by the time you get to bed, it comes easier. For some people, the hard part is the visualization of that energy. But imagine that energy as power. That's your power. That's your ability. And with that is the responsibility to make the best of it. We want to thank you for being with us this time. We have more things lined up for you, so please come back and see us again next week, same time, same station. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. We'll see you again
Thank you.
soon.
It's been great to be here.
This has been Snippets of Wisdom with hosts Dr. Mike Corral and Dr. Michael J. Murphy. Tune in and learn about the primary issues facing our society today and find the best chance of securing a stable and prosperous future. Snippets of Wisdom will enrich your life and the lives of all of your loved ones.